Bonjour and welcome to Menopause Monday. Today I'm talking about hot flushes because a lot of you seem to have that as one of your worst menopausal symptoms. It's something I've covered a few times in the past previously, but I just wanted to give a sort of more recent update as to the things that I have noticed that make my flushes worse, and also things that you can do to just help alleviate them. Now, I think if you're watching this and you struggle with hot flushes or hot flashes a lot, I never know to say flushes, flashes. Anyhow, whatever. I ask you to track what you're eating and drinking and how you're sleeping and also how constipated you are, because it will reveal a pattern to you, I promise. It's absolutely fascinating when you start to track your sort of lifestyle habits. You will then piece together what is making your hot flushes worse and what helps them get better. Now, they were certainly one of my worst ever symptoms when I was perimenopausal. I went into perimenopause around between sort of 35 and 37. I think I was just at a sort of a general well woman check, and my doctor said, or the nurse said, no, you're too young to be perimenopausal. I was getting terrible night sweats, so bad that thank goodness I was single, because I would go to sleep on one side of the bed. Literally, I would drench it. I had to sleep on towels. I'd strip off, put a new nightshirt on, put clean towels down on the other side of the bed, get back in, and at least I could get into a dry bed. And then just strip the whole lot off in the morning and repeat that time and time and time and time again. That was before I actually really started to understand about the menopause and how our hormones affect us, and also how to lead a lifestyle that supports a healthy natural menopause. Now, if you're taking HRT or bioidentical hormones and it's working for you, that's absolutely great. I am not against anything per se. I think personally, I like to try a natural approach first, but it's up to everybody to go with what suits them best. So I am only going to be talking about natural remedies and natural approaches to our menopause in these Menopause Mondays. So onto hot flushes. When I started to track them, I realized that things like being thirsty would set one off, and that's still one of my most triggery things that affects me now. Is if I'm starting to feel slightly thirsty, I think, oh, I'm thirsty, and poof, I have a volcanic eruption. Hunger is the same. Certain foods that I eat will set them off. And I'll go into those in more detail in a few minutes. Our hot flushes, the way our body responds to our menopausal symptoms, or the vast majority of them, is very tightly linked to how our adrenal health is. And I really want you to understand this. I know when I start talking about adrenal fatigue or adrenal glands, you might think, ooh, I don't understand adrenals and it's too scientific. Going to make it really, really simple. Essentially, when we go into the perimenopause and menopause, and in fact, menopause is just one day. So you're either premenopausal, which is leading up to perimenopause. Perimenopause is the joyous phase of when your hormones are literally all over the shop and you just feel horrendous. Menopause marks the day 12 months since you had your last period. And postmenopause is the rest of it. So I'm postmenopausal, have been for a long time. When you wake up in the morning, you probably have a hot flush. And that is linked to your cortisol. Now, the body's really clever. When we wake up, we have a spike of cortisol, and it's designed to motivate us to get on with the day. It's all tied into our circadian rhythms. And as we go through the day, our cortisol levels tend to drop off naturally, so that by the time we go to bed, we haven't got too much cortisol in our system, and essentially we should be able to go to sleep relatively easily. If you do things like workouts last late at night and they're high energy, or if you're under a lot of stress, or you're doing things that, trigger cortisol later on in the day, you're likely to affect how easily you go to sleep. So just be mindful of that. But it is related to our adrenal health. Now, in some extreme instances, you have what's called adrenal fatigue, and that literally is almost the body a breakdown point. It's like, I cannot do any more. And to help correct adrenal fatigue, you need to improve your lifestyle, but you also, first and foremost, just need to go to bed. And it might be that you sleep pretty much for 3 days off on the trot. And if you can sleep for 3 days on the trot, you are probably in adrenal fatigue. The vast majority of us aren't. The vast majority of us are just tired. Life is really stressy, and the modern pace of our lives, with all deadlines, looking after elderly parents, go through the menopause, caring, maybe becoming empty nesters, maybe the dynamics of our the relationship with our significant other is changing because of other lifestyle changes that are occurring, such as kids leaving home, unfortunately caring for elderly parents if they're not so well, and that sort of thing. It makes a big difference. You might find that your relationship has changed to such a degree that you need to change the relationship. Yes, that can be very stressful in and of itself, but is the long-term gain going to be worth the short-term stress? It's like divorce. You get through it and life gets better. It's like buying and moving house. It's pretty stressful in the time, but you settle in, you unpack your boxes, and generally it all settles down. But so these are short-term things that you have to factor in, which you may not feel like doing, but if they're going to give you long-term better mental health, less stress in the long term, I highly recommend you take stock and make the changes that you need to change. Your mental health is well worth the priority. But just sort of scooting back to the link with cortisol. So with our adrenals, as our ovaries go into retirement, as adults, we have about 400 viable eggs. Once we've stopped laying our eggs, our ovaries go into retirement. We don't need the sex hormones in our bodies anymore to such a degree, because we cannot carry a child any longer. And when that happens, the adrenals back up the job of the ovaries. So they actually help to create estrogen. And while the ovaries are no longer producing reduced amounts of estrogen and progesterone and testosterone, it's not just estrogen, but estrogen is sort of one of the major players as we go through beyond, perimenopause into postmenopause. If our adrenal health is poor, if our adrenals are tired, not fatigued, but just tired, you're stressed, you live a stressy life, you are likely to have more severe symptoms from the menopause related symptoms, which means you're probably going to have more hot flushes. It means you're probably going to sleep worse. It means you're probably going to be reaching for the fast to eat carbs. It means, and it's sort of all tied up. So when you think, you sleep badly, and when we sleep badly, it affects how our satiety hormones are affected. So essentially, we feel we're not as sensitive to our feeling full hormones. So we tend to eat more than we need. And we are more sensitive to our hungry hormones. So we're eating more often, and often we're reaching for the refined carbs, which then spikes our blood sugar, which then increases the insulin, which is our fat storing hormone. And because we're not eating stuff that is food as fuel, it's nutritionally empty calories, that puts us into nutritional stress. Same with not sleeping well enough, that's still stress. Same with not drinking enough water, that's still stress. Same with not exercising enough or exercising too much. Again, that can contribute to stress. So all of these things are stressors, and they all have an impact on our adrenal health and the amount of cortisol in our bodies. So when you can focus on eating and drinking the right food most of the time, not all the time. We want some fun. It's relaxing to pour, if you drink, it's relaxing to pour a glass of beer or wine at the end of the day and enjoy that. I'm not talking about being dogmatic about it. It's sort of following an 80-20 approach. Most people do not drink enough water. I think I've mentioned this in virtually every single video, so I'm really sorry if you've heard it again, but to work out how much water you need to drink, weigh yourself in pounds, divide that by 2, and the answer is how many fluid ounces of water you should be drinking as a minimum every single day. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you need to be drinking a minimum of 100 fluid ounces of water. That does vary if you live in a hot climate or a cold climate, or you do a lot of strenuous work, or indeed if you're having a lot of hot flushes, you probably need to drink more water. My hot flushes were so bad. I remember I was looking at a university for one of my kids, and I could feel it coming. My hot flushes make me feel really yucky too. I don't just get hot, I feel quite nauseous with them. And I was talking to this professor, and I could feel my face glistening, and I could feel sweat pouring down my back. it was so uncomfortable, and I felt really awkward with it still in those days. Now if it happens, I just laugh it off as a hot flush, and they can take it or leave it, I don't really care. But in those days I felt quite embarrassed about it, which made it even worse because I was embarrassed, so my stress hormones were going up even more, and literally I was just like, I was wet. It was absolutely vile. And that was like a defining moment. It was just like, there must be something that I can do to help how I'm getting through this. And so I'll share with you what I do. So I do make sure I stay hydrated. As soon as I wake up in the morning, I have a pint of warm water with either apple cider vinegar in it, just a little dash, or juice of half a lemon. I make sure I've got one now. I always carry a pint of glass of water around with me, and I'm constantly drinking it. For me, I find to drink water easy. If you struggle, do something called habit stacking. So each time you go to the toilet, come out and have a large glass of water. You go to the toilet again, come out, have a large glass of water. It will help you pair a habit that you've not quite got as a habit yet with something that you can't avoid doing, and then that you'll find that you might be spending a bit more time having wheeze for a couple of weeks, but your body will get used to that extra water, and you'll really benefit from having that extra water. Things like spicy food can set off hot flushes. I've noticed, I mean, I love curries. I cook a lot of curries myself at home. I like hot curries. If I have a curry that has some healthy fat in it, so like if I've either cooked it with significant coconut oil, or it's got coconut milk in it or coconut cream, I find that my hot flushes are not as severe as when I have a more tomato and pepper based curry. That could be because tomatoes and peppers and potatoes are part of the nightshade family. It might be that my body responds more to the nightshades, although cayenne pepper is, and so is chili, and I eat a lot of that. So I think it's more to do with the healthy fat, the coconut milk or cream, that tempers down the hot flushes that I get after a spicy meal. Alcohol is a big one. Now, I go through periods of being completely teetotal, and when I am teetotal, I find that my sugar cravings go. I'm much more on point with my food. I was just like, when I've really got my life together, I can get down to probably just one hot flush a day, and that's when I wake up in the morning, and it's not a bad hot flush. When I'm drinking, and I'm not talking about drinking loads, but I like 2 glasses of wine in the evening, that sets up that whole sequence again. And through the night, I might have 3 hot flushes. I might have 6 through the day. I'll get them intermittently again. And I know what an impact it has on me is because when I go teetotal, like I said, I can get down to about 1, and then I start drinking again, and literally it's back into it. So I'm not saying you have to go teetotal. I'm just saying be aware of it, that alcohol does have quite a negative impact on hot flushes. It does for me particularly. I know it does for a lot of other ladies as well. So, you know, if you're not that bothered about wine or beer or gin and tonic or whatever your tipple is, cut it out and see if that makes a big difference to the hot flushes that you're getting, because they can really affect your sleep as well. And when you're tired, so if you're waking up because you're having hot flushes, and then you're getting dehydrated because you're sweating a lot, and then the next day you're tired, so that's going to increase your stress levels. You're going to release more cortisol during the day, and you're going to have more hot flushes, and it sets up this negative feedback loop. So sometimes it's about just thinking, right, okay, I'm drawing the line today. I'm drinking more water. I'm going to eat healthy food. I'm going to get to bed early, and, you know, give yourself sort of 24 hours to set up that healthy foundation, and then see how much better you feel. I'm absolutely guarantee your hot flushes will decline as a result of doing that. Caffeine is another one. Oh, just back on our alcohol very quickly. When we think of alcohol, we always think of the organ that's going to be the most damaged by alcohol is the liver generally, and the brain obviously, but liver. The liver helps us metabolize hormones. So when our liver is under stress, if you're drinking more alcohol than you should do, we are also affecting how we metabolize hormones in the body, which is also going to have a negative impact on how we get through the menopause. So just as a little extra. So back to caffeine. I recently went caffeine free. I think I just ran out of the coffee that I like. And I noticed, crazy, within 2 or 3 days, my joint pain that I normally get really stiff joints in the morning, and it's really creaky when I first get up. It pretty much vanished. And the only thing I could put that down to was caffeine. So I've pretty much gone non-caffeine these days. I drink something called Teeccino, Teeccino. It's a herbal tea or coffee. It's known as Teeccino. It tastes like coffee. It is completely non-caffeinated. I actually really like it. I have it black. And I drink that now in the morning instead of having caffeinated coffee, because it doesn't give me that extra hot flush. So you'll find that caffeine might set off hot flushes as well. So just to be aware of that. So, you've got, think of your water, think of caffeine, think of alcohol, think of not, avoiding being thirsty. Make sure you're eating healthy food and try and increase the amount of vegetables and salad and fruit to a degree that you're eating. They're all really good for us. They're anti-inflammatory. They help the body stay on the healthy side of the acid-alkaline balance. The body's really clever. It will always find that balance anyway. But if we're eating a diet or food that is non-acidic, it just gives the body more energy to do what it needs to do. So boost our immunity, help eat cancer cells, keep us feeling energized and on form. And manage stress. Stress is a killer. I know I started with that in today's topic, but just if there are things that you need to change in your life, do. Because what is the alternative? Do you live with it for the rest of your life? Your menopausal symptoms are likely to get better as you get through and beyond, post-menopause. They can last up to around about 10 years. I think they do decline as you get sort of beyond that sort of menopausal day. But if you're in a highly stressful situation, or you're even in a situation where you're unhappy, but you're kind of putting up with it, I seriously challenge you to think about the long-term cost that has on your health, your physical health and your mental health. So a few tips as to how to manage hot flushes when they happen, because they are at times unavoidable. Wear layers. I got into cardigans big time because I like sweatshirts. And sometimes if you're having a hot flush, you've just got to strip off immediately and to try and get a sweatshirt off your head, and maybe it gets stuck over your head. And by that time, you're dripping. So cardigans are brilliant, just lots of little layers, and you can easily help to regulate your body. I also keep a little atomizer, so like just a little water spray next to my bed. I also have one in the car. So if I'm feeling like all of a sudden I can feel one coming on, I keep one in my handbag too. I've got a big one by the bed and then small handbag size one for the car and my handbag. I just spray that over me. I put it around the back of my neck, around my chest and on my wrists, on my face. It doesn't drench you, but it just helps to beat the hot flush developing into a full volcanic eruption. At night time also, I sometimes wet a flannel and drop some drops of lavender essential oil on it, and I just keep it in a little plastic bag so it stays nice and damp, and I put it on my bedside table, and if I wake up and I can feel a hot flush coming on, I can then put the flannel on my face. It smells lovely, it's really calming. I dabble around here with it, and that helps me to cool down too. Bamboo bedding is brilliant. It feels quite cold to the touch. It does have temperature regulating properties apparently. I have got bamboo bedding. I've also got some pure silk bedding, but bamboo's a little bit more affordable. And out of the two, bamboo is cooler, I find, than the silk bedding. So if you can I Panda Bamboo, what's the other one? Lunar Living. There's some really good bamboo bedding companies out there, and some of them are quite pricey. Some of them you don't have to pay that much for. But if it's a matter of sort of helping you sleep better, I wouldn't bother too much about the fitted sheet, but the one on top of you, either the flat sheet or your duvet cover, try and make that bamboo in your pillow. You'll find that when you're having a hot flush or you can feel one coming on, just put your arm and your leg out on the bed, on the top of the bed, and it really cools you down fast. Also keep your bedroom cool. Even in winter, I sleep with my window open. I do make my bed warm, but at least, and if I'm having a hot flush, I can literally pull back the covers, cool down really fast, and then I just cover back over again, and it just helps me go back to sleep really, really fast. Keep a glass of water next to your bed. If you have cats like I have who like to share your water glass throughout the night, it's like the amount of times I wake up and I can hear and it's the blooming cat drinking my water. Just put a book or something over the top of it, so you're not sharing it with your moggy, because it's really not very palatable when that happens. I do tend to wear a night shirt. I don't like things around my legs because it's too restrictive, but a night shirt just gives you that extra layer of clothing between your body and your bed, which means that you probably don't need to wash your bed quite so often. I wash my bed once a week religiously, whether I have sweaty moments or not. If I have a really sweaty moment, it gets washed the next day, but I wash my bedding every 7 days because it just keeps it nice and fresh. And I don't know, there's something, maybe it's just psychological, I feel cooler when the bed feels clean. And I do iron my bedclothes. People laugh at me because I iron my bed. Do you iron your bed sheets? I always iron my bed sheets. They feel so nice and they look better. Maybe it's OCD, but for me, again, having that nice sort of flat, just that sense of flatness has a positive impact on how hot and sweaty I feel. I don't know why, but it works. Must be a psychological thing. And track it. So just scooting back to tracking. Track for a week or so what you're drinking. So when do you drink, and what are you drinking? Track what you're eating. So, for instance, a pint of water, 6 a.m. Bowl of oats and granola with oat milk at 7 a.m. Snack of half a banana at 11 a.m. Lunch of ham and cheese roll with salad, 1 p.m. Coffee, 3 p.m. Avoid caffeine, it keeps you awake. But just for instance, glass of water, 5 p.m. Went to the toilet. Yes, I do. My toilet, I just literally do a triangle because it looks like a little poo, but I do a triangle and then I can tick it. So if I'm tracking it in my diary, I can just say at the end of the day, I was 6 pints of water. Or if you're getting nitty gritty, I do have a sheet I can send to you, which will help you list out, will help you tick off your water, whether you've been to the toilet or not, and it'll help you. It's got little spaces and lines for your breakfast, snacks, lunch and dinner. So if you like that, just message me and I'll send that to you. It's not a problem at all. In fact, what I would do, I will load it up. So if you're watching this on YouTube, I will put a link to it at the bottom in the comment in my description. If you're watching this on Instagram, click the link in my bio, go to free resources, and it'll be in there, daily tracker for menopause, I'll call it, and then you've got it. If you're watching this on Facebook, you'll have to go either message me for it or go to my Instagram account at Kate Hartley UK, or my YouTube, and you can do it that way. Menopause, if you search Menopause Mondays, it should pop up. Tracking is absolutely vital because it will then show you, it also tracks how much you've slept the night before as well. So it helps you build up a really good pattern, really good idea of where you're at with your nutrition, your sleep, your bowel movements and your hydration. That will then help you see when you're having a good day from your hot flushes and when you're having a bad day. And once you know what's triggering them, you are in the driver's seat. And then it's up to you whether you want to change it. Sugar is one thing I would say to cut out completely if you're able to. Sugar just makes us acidic. We don't actually need sugar. We have natural sugar in our fruits and vegetables. We don't need to add sugar to anything. Even if you bake your own bread in a bread maker, it says add sugar to it. You don't need to add sugar, and you don't need to add milk powder either. All the bread that I make, I just use salt, yeast, flour and water and oil. That's it. Or butter. If you can cut out sugar, you'll be doing yourself the biggest favor, because sugar, as well as making us acidic inside, it makes us age faster. It makes us put weight on quicker. It causes our stress hormones to pop out again, which is going to then have a negative effect. Not pop out, increase, which is going to have a negative impact on your menopausal symptoms. And you'll find your hot flushes are probably going to be the worst affected, maybe sleep as well, when you're eating more sugar than you should. Things like, just as a quick one, things like orange juice, you might think you're being healthy by having your morning juice. Cut it out. If you want orange juice, eat an orange. It's got the fiber, it's got all the other stuff in it. Orange juice has generally been pasteurized, a bit like milk. Once it's pasteurized, it's just fluid. It's had all the good stuff removed from it or killed off during that pasteurization process. Orange juice, it's like drinking, well, you may as well drink a glass of Coke, because they have pretty much the same amount of sugar in them. So if you want orange or something refreshing, have half a grapefruit for breakfast, or have a whole orange itself. Do not drink orange juice, apple juice, grapefruit juice. Have a look at the back of them, see what the percentage of sugar is. It's high. You think you're doing yourself something good. It's not, I promise you. Just a lot of people don't know that. I mean, for breakfast, if you can, drink water, or, you know, uncaffeinated coffee, or a cup of coffee, or a cup of tea. Tea and coffee, incidentally, they can count to a degree to your hydration, but really they should be on top of the water that you're drinking as a bare minimum. So, you know, weigh yourself in pounds, work out how much water you should drink, and then let your tea and your coffee be an extra treat on top of that. If you're somebody who I know somebody who just drinks coffee all the time, they will not drink water. They're also battling cancer and they refuse to change. I don't know why. You need to be drinking water, and that can be sparkling water. Sparkling water is slightly more acidic than normal tap water or filtered water, but it's still good for you. So if you can, just drink water, or like I say, the occasional cup of coffee or tea. A lot of people drink coffee in the morning with the thinking, oh, I'm tired, I need that caffeine to get me going. Actually, you probably find that's more here in your mind, because of that cortisol that we get that spikes, as you know, that is spiked naturally in the morning, linked to our circadian rhythm. If you need caffeine to keep you alert, save your cup of coffee until sort of 10 or 11 a.m. when your natural cortisol levels are starting to drop off. And then, you know, the caffeine that you're getting from your coffee is going to be well used. In the morning, you're kind of wasting that caffeine buzz because you've already got cortisol in your body. So just as a little extra on that one. So I hope you found this helpful. If you want the tracker, if you can't find the links, just message me. I'll email that across to you. But otherwise, I'll click the link in my bio on Instagram, or I'll be linking it down below for the YouTube video. Thanks for hanging in there with me today. If you have got anything in particular you'd like me to cover for future Menopause Monday, send me a message. If you found this useful, please either hit the like button or subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on future episodes, and share it with somebody who might need to hear this. I think there's a lot of sort of there's a lot of people out there who aren't entirely sure about doing the menopause naturally. I just one other thing actually that I take extra. I drink adaptogen herbs every single day. They're not something that I recommend to everybody to go and get, because I think you can make a lot of changes to your lifestyle without having to add the adaptogen herbs. I think if you're really keen, or you're really struggling with, say, the anxiety, lack of sleep, hot flushes, that sort of thing, the adaptogen herbs are really beneficial because they help to regulate our cortisol. So if you're in adrenal fatigue and you haven't got enough cortisol, they help to boost the natural cortisol that you create. If you have got too much cortisol, which is like the majority of us, we're sort of firing all the time, it helps to regulate that down. Also really good for our mental health. They help people with migraines. The adaptogenic properties of them come from the fact that they grow above the vegetation line in Peru. Most of them are South American, and it's that ability to survive above the vegetation line that gives them their powerful properties. The ones I will tell you a quick story about cordyceps, is one of my favorites, but the ones I take on a daily basis are ashwagandha. It's quite a well-known one. You can Google that. Maca, another well-known one, known as Peruvian Viagra, because it helps with energy levels and blood flow. It helps with mood. it's anti-inflammatory. Most of them are, in fact, they're all anti-inflammatory. They all help to regulate our stress, but they all have also little extra things that they do with the body. So we've got ashwagandha, maca, reishi, matake, cordyceps, schisandra, astragalus, and there's always one I forget. Schisandra, did I say schisandra? The fun one is cordyceps. So, and there's a really good story about this. So the Chinese national running team in the 1990s, I think it was, they beat 9 world records. It was something crazy. It was a female team. I might have got the world records wrong, but they had a blockbusting success run. And obviously anti-doping and stuff, they were all tested. The only thing that they had added to their diet or changed with their approach to their sort of nutritional needs ready for the races was adding cordyceps, which is one of the adaptogenic herbs. And cordyceps is this little, well, essentially it's a little sort of parasite that grows out of the back end of a dead caterpillar. Sounds revolting, but it's incredibly powerful. And that industry now is like, I can't remember, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry because they have adaptogen herbs, and the cordyceps specifically for that particular area is, I mean, it's been life-changing for the people that work above the vegetation line. But because it has such an impact on our overall health and our performance, they're catching on to it really fast. Now you will find that you can get cheaper adaptogen herbs in the health shops from China because they're mass produced at ground, or below the vegetation line. It may not be ground level, but it's below the vegetation line. You need to make sure that if you are going to go and get adaptogenic herbs, that they are grown in the country of origin above, and that they're genuine, that they're grown above that vegetation line, because otherwise you're just wasting your money. They're not ridiculously expensive. Like I say, I have mine every single day. I swear by them, even if mine comes in like a superfood shake. So I have digestive enzymes, and it comes with fiber, and lots of really beneficial stuff in it too. But these 8 adaptogenic herbs are in there as well, and I absolutely swear by it. It makes such a big difference to like my overall energy levels, but I'm also convinced it's helped me get through the menopause so well. So consider that. If you want me to give you that list, just again send me a message. I'll send you the details on that. But I swear by them. So I hope that's been helpful to you. Let me know, are hot flashes your major problem? And if they're not, please drop in the comments what is your worst symptom, or the symptom that you would like to improve the most through the menopause, and I'll make sure that I do something about that in either next week or the weeks coming up. So thanks for bearing with me, and I hope you have a cracking week. Make it a good one.